The awkward encounter. Alex Carter had only been living on Outpost Zeta 9 for 3 weeks, but it already felt like home. Well, almost. He was still getting used to his alien roommate. The station was a massive space hub floating in the middle of a trade route between human and alien territories. It had high-tech labs, massive cargo bays, and hundreds of crew members from different species. Alex was an engineer, one of the few humans on the station, responsible for fixing power grids, repairing ship hulls, and occasionally unclogging alien toilets, something he wished he never had to do again. But the biggest challenge wasn't his job. It was Tyrvok. Tyrvok was a Drakthal, a warrior species known for their massive size, sharp claws, and deep, growling voices. 7 feet tall, covered in thick, dark scales, and always standing like he was about to fight someone. Tyrvok looked terrifying. The Drakthal and humans weren't enemies, but they weren't exactly friends either. Sharing a room with one. Not ideal. Alex had done his best to avoid trouble. He kept to his side of the quarters, spoke only when necessary, and tried to be respectful. Tyrvok, on the other hand, barely talked at all. He spent most of his time meditating, sharpening his weapons, or staring at the wall like he was waiting for something to attack. It was an awkward living arrangement. The mistake. One evening, after a long, exhausting shift, Alex returned to his quarters. His arms ached from fixing a broken reactor panel all day, and all he wanted was to take off his uniform, lie down, and relax. He stepped inside, saw that the room was empty, and sighed in relief. Tyrvok must be out doing whatever scary aliens do. Not thinking twice, Alex pulled off his boots, tossed his jacket onto the chair, and quickly stripped down to his boxers. He stretched his sore muscles and let out a deep sigh. That's when the door opened. Alex turned his head, and there was Tyrvok standing in the doorway, staring at him. The silence. For a moment, neither of them moved. Alex's brain froze. Tyrvok's glowing yellow eyes locked onto him, unblinking. His reptilian face, usually unreadable, seemed even more intense. The silence dragged on. Alex's heart pounded. He considered grabbing a blanket, diving behind the bed, or just running. But before he could do anything, Tyrvok did something completely unexpected. He dropped to one knee. His large, clawed hands pressed against the floor, his head bowed low. He spoke in a deep, rumbling voice, the alien words rolling out like thunder. Alex blinked. What the hell is happening? The confusion. Alex swallowed. Dude, what are you doing? Tyrvok didn't look up. Instead, he placed a closed fist over his chest, a gesture Alex had seen other Drakthal warriors do before battle. When Tyrvok finally spoke in English, his voice was solemn. You have shown me your unguarded form. The bond is made. Alex blinked again. My what? Tyrvok's gaze finally lifted, and there was something serious in his expression. In Drakthal culture, to see one's true form, uncovered and without armor, is a sign of eternal trust, he said. It means you have accepted me as your blood brother. Alex's stomach dropped. His blood brother. From just standing in his underwear. This is a misunderstanding. Alex stammered, waving his hands. I wasn't accepting anything. I just thought I was alone. Tyrvok slowly stood to his full, towering height. His expression remained unreadable, but there was no doubt in his voice when he spoke. There is no misunderstanding, he said. You have performed the sacred act. The bond is sealed. Alex felt a cold sweat forming. Oh, crap. A new problem. Tyrvok stepped closer, his clawed hand now resting on his belt. As your blood brother, I will now prepare the challenge. Alex's stomach tightened. Challenge. He repeated weakly. Tyrvok nodded. Before the bond is complete, we must prove our strength to one another. A ritual combat. Combat. Alex took an unconscious step back. No, 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 he said quickly. We don't have to fight. I mean, humans don't do that. We shake hands. Yeah, shaking hands is enough for us. Tervok didn't budge. The battle will take place tomorrow morning, he said, as if Alex hadn't spoken at all. Then, as if nothing unusual had just happened, he turned and walked toward his sleeping area. Alex stood frozen in place. His alien roommate had just declared him his blood brother. And now, Alex had to fight him. All because he forgot to lock the damn door. The ritual begins. Alex barely slept that night. His brain kept repeating the same terrifying thought. He had to fight a 7-foot-tall reptilian warrior in the morning. How had his life come to this? One moment he was just a regular engineer on Outpost Zeta 9, fixing broken circuits and avoiding getting yelled at by his supervisor. The next, he was being forced into an alien blood brother combat ritual, all because of a stupid misunderstanding. He groaned into his pillow. I'm gonna die. Across the room, Tervok sat in complete silence, cross-legged on the floor, his eyes closed in deep meditation. Alex watched him from his bed, feeling the mix of panic and frustration. How was he so calm? The Drakthal had been like this for hours. He hadn't said a word since announcing the fight. No explanations, no reassurances, just this unsettling quiet. Alex had tried to reason with him earlier, but it was useless. Drakthal traditions were strict, and once a sacred bond was made, there was no backing out. Now, as the station's artificial night cycle dimmed the lights, Alex felt trapped. He had to figure something out before morning. The search for an escape. Desperate, Alex grabbed his data pad and started searching for anything that could save him. He typed, "How to avoid fighting a Drakthal warrior." No results. He tried again. How to survive a fight against a Drakthal. A few articles popped up. He clicked the first one. Drakthal warriors are among the deadliest fighters in the galaxy. Their natural armor, enhanced strength, and battle instincts make them almost impossible to defeat in single combat. Alex's stomach dropped. Yeah, great, thanks for the motivation. He scrolled further. The only known way to best a Drakthal in a duel is through strategy, not strength. They respect cunning over brute force. Outsmarting them is the key to survival. Alex froze. Outsmarting them. That was his thing. He wasn't a fighter, but he was a damn good problem solver. If he could find a loophole in their traditions, he could get out of this without getting his bones crushed. But how? He needed more info. Understanding the ritual. Alex dug deeper, searching for details about Drakthal blood brother rituals. After several minutes, he found an entry written by a human diplomat. The combat trial between bonded warriors is not about death, but about proving one's worth. It is a test of strength, skill, and strategy. The challenge is not won by brute force alone. True warriors win through wit and adaptability. That was his answer. He didn't need to beat Tervok physically. He just had to prove himself in a different way. A slow grin formed on Alex's face. He had a plan. The morning of the duel. The next day, the combat arena on Outpost Zeta 9 was packed. Aliens from different species had gathered to watch the fight. Even some of Alex's human coworkers had come, probably expecting to see him get completely wrecked. The arena itself was massive, built for training and sparring sessions. The walls were lined with advanced energy shields, designed to absorb impacts. The floor was reinforced metal, marked with old battle scars from past fights. Alex stepped forward, his heart pounding as he saw Tervok waiting for him in the center. The Drakthal warrior was already in his battle stance, his claws flexing, his reptilian eyes focused. His presence alone made Alex's survival instincts scream. A station official, a tall, four-armed alien, raised his hand. "The trial of blood brotherhood begins," he announced. Alex swallowed hard. Okay, it's now or never. The fight begins. Tervok lunged. He moved fast, much faster than Alex expected. Alex barely dodged, stumbling backward as razor-sharp claws sliced through the air, just inches from his face. The crowd roared. Tyrvok didn't slow down. He attacked again, forcing Alex to retreat further. This isn't gonna work. I need to use my plan. Now. Alex suddenly dropped to one knee. The movement made Tyrvok pause, confused. Then, before the alien could react, Alex slammed his fist against his own chest, mimicking the Drakthal warrior salute he had seen Tyrvok do so many times before. Gasps echoed through the arena. Tyrvok stopped completely. Alex took a deep breath. It was time to gamble everything. "Great Tyrvok," he said loudly, making sure the entire audience could hear. "You have already won." Murmurs spread through the crowd. Tyrvok's eyes narrowed. "What do you mean?" Alex stood tall, trying to keep his voice steady. "I am an engineer, a human of intelligence, not strength. But intelligence is strength, and by choosing not to fight you, I am proving that I know my own limits." The murmurs grew louder. Tyrvok tilted his head slightly, considering his words. Alex continued, voice firm. "The true warrior does not fight battles he cannot win. Instead, he chooses a different path, one that ensures survival and victory through wisdom." Silence. Tyrvok stared at him for a long moment. Then, slowly, he lowered his claws. The crowd erupted in shock. Tyrvok nodded once, a deep rumble escaping his throat. "You understand honor, human." Then, to Alex's complete disbelief, Tyrvok dropped to one knee, showing respect. The arena official stepped forward. "The challenge has been met. The blood bond is complete." Cheers erupted from the crowd. Alex could barely believe it. He had won, without throwing a single punch. Tyrvok stood and placed a clawed hand on Alex's shoulder. "You are not weak," he said. "You are clever. And that, my blood brother, is far more dangerous." Alex let out a shaky breath, his legs barely holding him up. He'd survived. And somehow, he had earned the respect of a Drakthal warrior. The honor duel. Alex Carter should have been relieved. He had managed to outsmart Tyrvok and survive the Drakthal ritual without being crushed into a bloody pulp. But as he sat at the station's communal mess hall, poking at his strange, gelatinous breakfast, he couldn't shake the uneasy feeling creeping up his spine. The duel had ended, sure, but something about the way Tyrvok had looked at him afterward made Alex feel like he had stepped into something much bigger than he realized. It wasn't just a blood bond anymore. It was a test, and Alex had no idea if he had truly passed. An unsettling silence. Tyrvok had barely spoken to him since the fight. Normally, Alex would have welcomed the silence. After all, living with a 7-foot-tall reptilian warrior wasn't exactly relaxing. But now, the quiet felt different. Tyrvok wasn't just ignoring him. He was watching him, studying him. Alex would catch glimpses of the Drakthal, analyzing his every move. When Alex adjusted a malfunctioning power node in the corridor, Tyrvok was there, silently observing. When Alex negotiated with a grumpy alien trader for spare ship parts, Tyrvok stood nearby, arms crossed, as if evaluating his tactics. At first, Alex told himself it was just his imagination. But after the fourth time, he turned a corner and found Tyrvok waiting for him. Alex had enough. He spun around to face the towering warrior, crossing his arms. "Okay, what's going on?" he demanded. Tyrvok tilted his head. "You have proven yourself worthy in battle." Alex snorted. "I didn't even fight you." Tyrvok's eyes narrowed slightly. "You fought with your mind. That is a strength few warriors possess." Alex blinked. "Right. So why are you following me everywhere?" Tyrvok let out a deep, thoughtful rumble. "In my culture, when a young warrior proves himself, his blood brother must train him further. The duel was only the beginning of your trials." Alex felt his stomach drop. "Wait. What?" Turvok straightened, his massive frame blocking the corridor completely. As my blood brother, you must now face the honor trials. Alex groaned. You've got to be kidding me. The honor trials begin. The first trial started immediately. Turvok took Alex to a small private training hall used by the Drakthal warriors stationed on Outpost Zeta 9. The room was simple but terrifying, lined with ancient weapons, holographic combat simulations, and reinforced walls covered in deep claw marks from past battles. Alex gulped. So, what exactly is this trial? Turvok handed him a small metallic sphere. Alex turned it over in his hand. This is a rock. Turvok's eyes gleamed with challenge. That rock is a Drakthal gravity training orb, he said. It is designed to increase its weight over time. You must hold it until the session is over. Alex frowned. That doesn't sound too bad. The moment he said that, the sphere doubled in weight. Alex's arm dropped instantly, his muscles screaming in protest. Oh, come on. Turvok simply nodded. Good. The trial has begun. Alex gritted his teeth, struggling to keep the orb from falling completely. It wasn't just heavy. It felt like it was pulling him down, as if he were being dragged into a pit of quicksand. How long does this last? He gasped. Turvok leaned against the wall, completely at ease. 2 hours. Alex's eyes bulged. 2 hours. Trial 1. The test of endurance. The first 10 minutes were brutal. Alex's arms burned. His shoulders ached. His legs wobbled under the strain. He wanted to drop the orb so badly, but every time he even considered it, he saw Turvok watching him with that calculating gaze. It wasn't just about strength. It was about willpower. Your mind will give up before your body does, Turvok said, as if sensing his thoughts. Control your thoughts. Endure. Alex gritted his teeth. He wasn't about to let some giant lizard man outblast him. So, he focused. He controlled his breathing. He channeled his frustration into something sharper. And he kept holding the orb. Minutes turned into an hour. By the time Turvok finally nodded in approval, Alex could barely feel his arms, but he was still standing. Turvok stepped forward and gently removed the orb from his grasp. You lasted longer than most first-timers, he admitted. Alex let out a breathless laugh. Well, I'm a fast learner. Turvok's eyes gleamed. Then let us continue. Alex's stomach sank. There's more. Trial 2. The test of honor. The next trial was unexpected. Turvok led Alex into a bar on the lower levels of Outpost Zeta 9. It was crowded with alien traders, bounty hunters, and station workers, some of them very unfriendly looking. Alex frowned. What's this about? Turvok nodded toward a table in the back. A large brutish alien sat there, a Gorthan, known for their short tempers and love for gambling. Turvok folded his arms. That warrior insulted me yesterday. You must now defend my honor. Alex's jaw dropped. Hold on. You want me to fight that guy? Turvok shook his head. No, I want you to win back my honor without fighting. Alex blinked. Then, slowly, a smirk crossed his face. Maybe this trial wasn't so bad after all. The fight that wasn't. Alex Carter took a deep breath, trying to calm his nerves. This was his second trial, the test of honor. But unlike the first trial, which had been pure physical endurance, this one required something else entirely. Turvok had brought him to a seedy bar deep in the lower levels of Outpost Zeta 9, a place where laws were more of a suggestion than an actual rule. The air was thick with the smell of alien spices, burnt-out plasma coils, and something Alex was pretty sure was rotting meat. At the center of the bar sat a Gorthan, a massive gray-skinned brute with 6 muscular arms, tiny beady eyes, and an attitude problem. His kind were notorious for their short tempers, love of gambling, and violent tendencies. And according to Tyrvok, this Gorthon had insulted him the day before. Now, it was Alex's job to win back his honor. Without fighting. Alex shifted uncomfortably. You know, when you said trial, I thought it would be something a little less dangerous. Tyrvok, standing beside him like an unmovable pillar, rumbled in amusement. If it were easy, it would not be a trial. Alex sighed. Of course. He eyed the Gorthon again. The brute was laughing loudly, knocking back some kind of thick, bubbling drink from a steel mug. His table was littered with credits, dice, and holographic betting slips, a clear sign he was deep into a gambling spree. Alex's mind weird. No fighting. Just strategy. Just outsmarting him. A slow grin spread across his face. This, he could do. Setting the bait. Alex stepped forward, moving casually, as if he wasn't planning to hustle a giant alien thug. He slid into the seat across from the Gorthon, flashing a friendly smile. The alien barely glanced at him. You lost, human. Alex shook his head. Nah, just looking for a game. The Gorthon grunted, tossing a pair of dice between his lower two hands. You got credits. Alex pulled out a handful of station credits and dropped them on the table. Enough. The alien smirked. All right. But don't cry when you lose. Alex's grin widened. That's exactly what I want you to think. The game begins. The game was a simple Drakthal dice game, a mix of skill, luck, and bluffing. The goal? To roll high numbers and place bets on your rolls, all while reading your opponent's bluffs. Alex played badly at first, on purpose. He made dumb bets, lost several rounds, and acted like an overconfident rookie. The Gorthon laughed, easily scooping up his winnings. He thought Alex was a fool. That was exactly what Alex wanted. Tyrvok watched silently from the corner, his reptilian eyes narrowed. He said nothing. He simply waited. Then, after 10 minutes of small losses, Alex made his move. The hustle. Alex suddenly upped his bets. He acted nervous, like he was desperate to win back his credits. The Gorthon, seeing an easy victim, eagerly matched his bets, and then raised them even higher. The crowd around them grew. Other aliens leaned in, watching the human's downfall unfold. Alex pretended to hesitate, but then he shoved everything into the pot. All or nothing, he said. The Gorthon grinned. He thought he was about to win big. He rolled first and got a strong hand. The crowd cheered. Then, Alex rolled his dice and got an impossible perfect score. The table fell silent. The Gorthon's smile vanished. He had been played, winning the honor. Alex calmly collected his winnings, pretending to look shocked, as if he had accidentally won. Wow, lucky roll. The Gorthon's beady eyes narrowed, his upper two fists clenched. For a moment, Alex thought he was about to get punched straight through the table. But then, the alien burst out laughing. Ha! You sneaky little human. He pounded a fist on the table. You got me good. Alex exhaled slowly. The Gorthon waved a hand. Fine. You win. Take your money and go. Tyrvok stepped forward then, his deep voice rumbling. And the insult from yesterday. The Gorthon snorted. Consider it forgotten. Tyrvok nodded once. Alex grabbed his winnings and stood up quickly, trying not to shake from adrenaline. He had won. And most importantly, he had proven his worth without fighting. A warrior's respect. As they left the bar, Alex turned to Tyrvok, still feeling the rush of victory. Okay, he admitted. That was kinda fun. Tyrvok gave him a sideways glance. You are more dangerous than you appear, human. Alex grinned. Took you long enough to figure that out. The Drakthal let out a low chuckle, a rare sound from the massive warrior. Perhaps, but your trials are not over yet. Alex groaned. You have to be kidding me. Tyrvok's expression darkened slightly. The final trial is not a game, he said. It is a test of courage and survival. Alex stopped walking. For the first time since meeting Tyrvok, he saw something strange in the warrior's eyes, a flicker of concern. The next trial, Tyrvok continued, will decide whether you are truly worthy of this bond. A chill ran down Alex's spine. What exactly is the next trial? He asked slowly. Tyrvok looked at him, then uttered 4 words that made Alex's stomach drop. We must hunt together. Trouble on the station. Alex Carter had spent the last week being tested in ways he never expected. It started with a blood-brother bond formed by accident. Then came the trials, each one more difficult than the last. But now, as he stood in the dimly lit corridors of Outpost Zeta 9, staring at the emergency red alert lights flashing across the walls, he realized something. This wasn't just another test. This was real danger. The warning signs. It started with small, strange things. For the last few days, Alex had noticed unusual activity on the station. Cargo shipments were being delayed. Some of the security patrols were taking longer than usual to report back. There were whispers among the traders, rumors about a shadowy group moving between the outer space stations, looking for something or someone. Then, earlier that evening, an emergency distress signal had come through the station's command center. That's when all hell broke loose. A sudden infiltration. Alex and Tyrvok were in their quarters when the alarms began blaring. Tyrvok was already on his feet, his reptilian instincts on high alert. His clawed hand went straight to the blade strapped to his back, his eyes glowing in the dim light. Alex grabbed his data pad, trying to access the station's security feed. The screen flickered with static. That wasn't good. Something's jamming the network, he muttered. Tyrvok growled. We are under attack. The lights cut out. The only illumination came from the emergency red glow pulsing along the walls. Then, a sound. A metallic clank. Footsteps in the distance. And then, through the station's comms, a deep, distorted voice echoed. This is Captain Vekros of the Black Dagger Syndicate. Outpost Zeta 9 now belongs to us. Alex's stomach dropped. The Black Dagger Syndicate. Space pirates. Not just any pirates, the worst kind. The kind that didn't just steal. They took prisoners. They sold people. Alex turned to Tyrvok, but the warrior was already moving, his expression deadly calm. We need to reach the armory, Tyrvok said. Alex swallowed. And then what? Tyrvok's yellow eyes gleamed. Then we hunt. A dangerous path. Getting to the armory wasn't easy. The corridors were pitch black, and every now and then, Alex caught glimpses of pirate patrols moving between the shadows, heavily armed, ruthless, and completely in control of the station's systems. Tyrvok moved like a ghost, his warrior instincts allowing him to slip through the dark unseen. Alex, not so much. He nearly tripped over a loose cable, catching himself just in time as a pirate passed by. He held his breath, pressing himself into a small maintenance alcove, his heart pounding. Tyrvok watched from the shadows, disapprovingly. You must learn to move without fear, he whispered. Alex gave him a flat look. Easy for you to say, Mr. 7-foot lizard warrior. Despite the tension, he could have sworn he saw amusement flicker in Tyrvok's eyes. But there wasn't time to argue. They reached the armory, but there was a problem. The door was sealed shut. The pirates must have locked it down remotely. Alex quickly knelt beside the control panel, pulling up his data pad. I can hack it, he said, fingers flying across the interface, but I need a few minutes. Tyrvok stood beside him, scanning the dark hallway. We do not have a few minutes, he muttered. That's when the footsteps started getting louder. The pirates were coming. The fight begins. Alex worked faster, sweat forming on his brow. The security system was tougher than expected, but he had seen enough of the station's coding over the last few weeks to know where the weak spots were. Almost there. Tyrvok didn't respond. He was staring down the corridor, waiting, listening. Then, just as Alex unlocked the door, the first pirate rounded the corner. A tall, armored mercenary with a shock rifle. The pirate's helmeted head tilted, spotting them. Alex's blood went cold. The pirate's hand moved toward his gun. Tuvok moved faster. Before Alex could even blink, the Drakthal warrior launched forward, closing the distance in less than a second. His clawed hand gripped the pirate's throat, lifting him off the ground effortlessly. A sickening crack echoed through the corridor. The pirate collapsed, unmoving. Alex stared. Tuvok didn't even look back. He just grabbed the pirate's rifle, tossed it to Alex, and stepped inside the armory. "Come," he said. "More will be here soon." Alex swallowed hard. Then he followed, preparing for war. The armory was small but well-stocked. Tuvok immediately grabbed a heavy plasma repeater, strapping it across his back, while Alex settled for a compact energy pistol, lightweight, easy to use. The station's intercom crackled again. "We have control of the command center." Captain Vekros's voice echoed through the halls. "Lay down your weapons, and no one gets hurt." Alex snorted. "Yeah, right." Tuvok loaded his weapon. "This station belongs to warriors, not cowards." Alex took a deep breath. He wasn't a warrior, not like Tuvok. But he wasn't helpless either. The Black Dagger Syndicate thought they had already won. They were wrong. Tuvok turned to him. "Are you ready, human?" Alex clenched his fist around his pistol. "For once," he said, "I actually think I am." Tuvok bared his sharp teeth in something that was almost a smile. "Good," he said. "Then let us remind them why humanity is not to be underestimated." And with that, they stepped back into the darkness, ready to take back the station. The escape plan. Alex Carter had never been in an actual battle before. Sure, he had seen plenty of simulated combat drills during his engineering training. He knew how to shoot, how to move, how to use cover. But knowing something theoretically was very different from experiencing it in real time. And right now, he was very much experiencing it. Blaster fire tore through the corridors of Outpost Zeta 9, bright plasma bolts slamming into metal walls, leaving behind glowing, molten scars. The air smelled of burnt ozone and scorched wiring. The Black Dagger Syndicate was dug in deep, using the station's own security points to lock down the area. Alex crouched behind a supply crate, breathing hard, his pulse hammering in his ears. On the other side of the corridor, Tuvok moved like a predator in his element, unleashing bursts of plasma fire from his repeater rifle with terrifying accuracy. A pirate tried to rush them. Big mistake. Tuvok sidestepped the attack, grabbed the pirate by the arm, and slammed him into the nearest bulkhead. The mercenary crumpled to the floor, unconscious. Alex couldn't help but mutter, "That was excessive." Tuvok reloaded his weapon. "He will live." Alex peeked around the corner and immediately had to duck as a sniper shot barely missed his head. He exhaled. "Okay, we need a plan, or we're gonna end up as space dust." Tuvok nodded. "Then make one, engineer." The problem. The pirates had locked down the command center, meaning they controlled the station's automated defense systems, the emergency lockdown protocols, all outgoing communication channels. That meant they could shut off oxygen to any section of the station. They could call for reinforcements from nearby pirate fleets. They could override all station doors, trapping survivors. In short, Alex and Tuvok were running out of time. The plan. Alex took a deep breath, forcing himself to think. "Okay," he started. "We can't take the command center head-on. Too many hostiles, too much security." Tuvok nodded. "Then we take it from the outside." Alex blinked. "Wait, that's actually brilliant." Tuvok's expression didn't change. "Of course it is." Alex rolled his eyes. Yeah, you're a genius. But we need a way to bypass the security measures. If we try hacking from the inside, we'll trigger a failsafe. He looked at the station schematics on his datapad. Then he saw it. A backdoor access point. The command center was connected to the station's reactor core, which had an emergency override system in case of power failures. If they could get there, Alex could use it to disable the pirates' security lockdown and reboot the station's defenses. Only one problem. It required getting into the station's maintenance tunnels. And the tunnels were not empty. Into the depths. The maintenance tunnels of Outpost Zeta 9 were not designed for comfort. They were tight, dark, and filled with exposed wiring, leaking steam, and the occasional unidentified alien insect skittering in the shadows. Alex hated it immediately. Turavok, on the other hand, moved without hesitation, crawling through the narrow metal passages with the ease of a trained hunter. "I hate this," Alex muttered, squeezing through a tight vent. "This is officially the worst part of my week." Turavok didn't look back. "Then you have lived a fortunate life." Alex glared at the back of his scaly head. "I'm gonna take that as sarcasm." The tunnel suddenly shook. A deep rumbling sound vibrated through the walls. Alex frowned. Did you hear that?" Turavok paused. "Yes." Another tremor, this time stronger. Alex pulled out his datapad, checking the station's reactor status. Then his stomach dropped. "The pirates are trying to force an overload," he whispered. "They're gonna blow the station's core if they lose control." Turavok's expression darkened. "Then we move faster." The reactor core standoff. They reached the reactor control room just in time. Inside, a group of pirates had already begun rewiring the station's power grid, preparing to detonate the core if things went south. Their leader, a scared, cybernetic-looking man with a robotic left arm, turned toward them. Well, he sneered. "Looks like we've got some heroes." Turavok stepped forward, his massive frame filling the doorway. "No heroes," the Drakthal growled. "Just executioners." Alex whispered. "Okay, that was unnecessarily badass." Turavok bared his fangs. "Stay behind me." The pirate leader smirked. "Oh, I don't think so." He snapped his fingers. Immediately, his men opened fire. Chaos unleashed. Alex hit the ground as blaster bolts screamed through the air. Turavok moved like a force of nature, weaving through enemy fire with inhuman speed, closing the distance before they could react. A pirate tried to draw his weapon. Turavok ripped it out of his hands and crushed it like paper. Another pirate lunged with a knife. Turavok ducked, spun, and slammed his elbow into the attacker's ribs, sending him flying. Alex, meanwhile, scrambled toward the control panel, dodging stray shots. He plugged in his datapad, fingers flying over the controls. Come on, work with me." The reactor hummed, the overload sequence flashing red on the screen. The pirate leader saw what he was doing. His cybernetic arm shifted, transforming into a plasma blade. "Oh, hell no," Alex muttered. The pirate lunged at him. But Turavok intercepted, tackling the man with bone-crushing force. The two warriors crashed into the reactor chamber, locked in a brutal melee. Alex ignored them, focusing on the controls. He had seconds left. He bypassed the pirates' override, rerouted power, and boom! The station's defenses came back online. The pirates' weapons locked up, their security overrides disabled, and most importantly, the station's automated sentry turrets activated. Within seconds, the Black Dagger Syndicate was being cut down by their own stolen systems. Victory, with a cost. Turavok stood over the pirate leader, who was now unconscious and bleeding. Alex slumped against the control panel, breathing heavily. "Well, that sucked," he muttered. Turavok looked at him, then let out a rare chuckle. "You fought well, blood brother." Alex wiped sweat off his forehead. "Yeah, well, I think I'm getting used to this whole almost dying thing." Turavok's gaze darkened slightly. "Good," he said. because this war is far from over. Alex's stomach twisted. Somehow, he knew Tyrvok was right. Brotherhood forged in fire. The battle for Outpost Zeta 9 was over. The Black Dagger Syndicate had been defeated, their leader captured, and the station's systems restored. The sentry turrets had mowed down most of the surviving pirates, and the remaining few had either surrendered or fled into the depths of space. But for Alex Carter, the fight was far from over. Because now, he had to deal with the aftermath, the weight of victory. The corridors of the station were filled with emergency crews. Doctors tending to the wounded, engineers working to repair the damage, and security forces gathering the last of the pirate prisoners. Alex walked through the wreckage, still processing everything. Less than an hour ago, he had been dodging blaster fire, hacking into the station's core, and trying not to get killed by a cybernetic warlord. Now he was just standing there, exhausted, as reality slowly set in. "We actually did it," he muttered to himself. Beside him, Tyrvok grunted. "You sound surprised." Alex gave him a look. "Dude, we were outnumbered, outgunned, and outmatched. A normal person would have died at least 5 times by now." Tyrvok smirked. "You are not normal." Alex snorted. "Yeah, I figured that out when I accidentally became a blood brother to a 7-foot space warrior." Tyrvok's smirk faded slightly. "The bond is not an accident," he said. "It is earned." Alex blinked, caught off guard by the sincerity in Tyrvok's tone. The Drakthal warrior studied him for a moment, then placed a clawed hand on his shoulder. "You fought with honor," Tyrvok said. "Not just with strength, but with your mind. And in doing so, you saved not only yourself, but this entire station." Alex wasn't sure what to say to that. Tyrvok wasn't one for casual compliments. If he said something, he meant it. And for the first time since this whole ridiculous blood bond ritual had started, Alex realized that Tyrvok didn't just respect him. He saw him as an equal, a true warrior. A sudden promotion. Before Alex could respond, a sharp voice cut through the noise. "Carter." "Tyrvok." Alex turned to see Commander Rayla Voss, the station's chief officer, striding toward them. She was a tough-as-nails human leader, dressed in a crisp black military uniform, with icy blue eyes and an expression that screamed, "I don't have time for nonsense." Behind her, a squad of station security officers were hauling away the last of the pirate prisoners. Voss stopped in front of them, arms crossed. "I should have both of you thrown in the brig for what you pulled." Alex blinked. "Wait, what?" "You went rogue," she said, pointing a finger at him. "You ignored protocol, hacked into restricted station systems, and nearly blew up the reactor core." Alex winced. "Okay, yeah, when you put it like that, it sounds bad." Voss turned to Tyrvok. "And you? I've got reports saying you took down 6 armed mercenaries with your bare hands. One of them has a broken spine." Tyrvok shrugged. "He will live." Voss sighed, rubbing her temples. Then she did something unexpected. She smiled. Alex stared at her. "Wait, you're not actually mad." Voss folded her arms. "Mad? Carter, you just stopped a pirate invasion with nothing but a wrench, a data pad, and an overgrown lizard." Tyrvok growled at the insult. Voss ignored him. "Point is, you both proved something today. This station needs people like you." Alex's stomach twisted. He knew what was coming. No, he said quickly. "If you're about to offer me a job." "You're being promoted," Voss said flatly. Alex froze. Tyrvok raised an eyebrow. "Promoted?" Voss nodded. "Effective immediately. Alex Carter is now the lead tactical engineer for Outpost Zeta 9. Alex groaned, rubbing his face. "Oh, come on. I just wanted a quiet life of fixing power grids and avoiding death." Voss smirked. "Well, too bad. You're officially part of the command team now." Alex sighed deeply. "I hate everything." Tirivok chuckled. No, you do not. Final trial. A new path. Later that night, after the station had finally settled down, Alex and Tirivok sat in their shared quarters, drinking from a bottle of strange alien liquor that smelled like burnt cinnamon and motor oil. Tirivok took a deep swig before speaking. You have completed your trials. Alex, who was in the middle of chugging his drink, nearly choked. He coughed, wiping his mouth. Wait, what? Tirivok nodded. The endurance trial, the honor trial, the courage trial, and now, the trial of leadership. You did not just fight today. You commanded. You made choices that saved lives. Alex frowned. I was just figuring it out as I went. Tirivok placed a hand on his chest, the Drakthal gesture of respect. That is what leaders do. Alex was silent for a moment. Then he sighed, leaning back in his chair. So does this mean I finally get out of doing more trials? Tirivok grinned, showing sharp teeth. For now. Alex raised his drink. I'll take it. They clinked their glasses together, the tension of the past few days finally melting away. A strange feeling settled in Alex's chest, something he hadn't quite felt before. Belonging. He had come to Outpost Zeta 9 as just an engineer. Now he was something more. And as he sat beside his Drakthal blood brother, he realized something else too. He wasn't alone. Not anymore.